Today on the SIP session, I'm so excited to be joined by author and multidisciplinary artist, Sylvia Lily.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you here. She is the creative mind behind the Canadian horror novel, Evergreen Peaks. So we are going to get into that today and tell us all about it. But before we get into your artistry, I need to know what's in your cup today. What's your go-to
coffee?
Drink?
I would definitely say coffee and milk,
Yes.
and it definitely helps the creative flow. And I found when I'm really creative, I'll have like 4 cups of coffee.
Amazing. You know what I'm noticing in doing these interviews is that a lot of creatives have a lot of caffeine.
Yeah.
Like just it's multiple cups. And I think that's great because caffeine gets the creative juices flowing.
I admire people who don't need a cup of coffee in the morning.
So do I.
That is a rare breed, but
yes, it really is. So does your drink of choice change depending on what you're working on creatively, do you find? Or is it just always like your standard cup of coffee with milk?
I would say standard cup of coffee, but on days where maybe I'm having writer's blocks, there's the lion's mane, which is like a type of mushroom, and you can just put it in there. It helps you focus for a little bit more.
Yeah. And is it like ground up?
Yeah, it's a ground up. It's like it's a vitamin. You can get it at a health food store, so that will kind of reset me.
Okay.
But I like that. I don't like having caffeine too far into the day.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, you're up all night, or unless that's what you need. Unless you need a late night writing or music session, then I guess that would work.
It just doesn't really affect me in the afternoon as much. So I'm like, maybe I'll have like a tea or just something different. But usually in the morning, it's like back-to-back coffee.
Yeah, that's okay. Whatever gets you going.
Yeah.
There's no judgment here. Are you someone who needs like a cozy space or cozy vibe to write, or can you write anywhere? Like where?
I usually write at my house in my office, which is very cozy. I'm definitely all about having the calming lights.
Right.
And morning would be I have a lot of daylight that pours in.
Beautiful.
But I also am like very strange in the sense that I love like chaotic environments. So when I was in university, I would study for exams, not in the library, but in the cafe that was extremely loud. And I'd have like a TV show plugged in at the same time. So when I go to a cafe, I like to just the energy of everyone around me, I focus so much better.
Interesting. Do you think maybe you like take from your atmosphere, like it helps add to like with whether you're writing different characters in your stories or things like that? I don't know.
I think so. It just takes you, if you see other people focusing or like just having conversation, like you're already more energetic.
Yes,
and it does help. And then sometimes if I'm stuck on something, like you look around and maybe an idea comes, like people watching or whatever it is. But I find just like more energy, I will be better. And sometimes, like if you're editing, it's probably not the best to be. It's like different tasks.
Agree. Different tasks, different atmospheres. Yeah, I'm definitely someone too. Like when I was studying university or anything like that, when I'm working, when I'm teaching, it's music. I have to have music, like on.
Yeah.
It could be, like instrumental music, but I have to have music on. Versus, when I'm editing, there's no way. Unfortunately I can't. I have to listen to everything and edit. But I guess you're right. It just maybe is dependent.
Yeah, and there is something called Brain FM, which is like a certain type of like binaural beats. I believe it's binaural beats, or it's like music, but it's catered to focus. So if you wear headphones, it can get you into deep flow as well, which can help if you're ever stuck.
Interesting. Look at that. We are learning new things. Great. So for anyone meeting you for the first time, how would you describe who you are as a creator?
Yeah, as a creative, I definitely like to experiment. So I always have like a new hobby. Like every month you'll be doing something completely different. Maybe it's drawing, but when it came to writing, I'd say storytelling's like my main focus.
Yeah.
And I had always done creative writing, but never actually finished a book. And so with this one, I was like, I made a commitment. And so that became like the major point of the storytelling. And then I fell so in love with the universe of Evergreen Peaks. And that kind of created a side passion of singing and songwriting, which was like nothing I had done before. So this project just opened so many more doors.
Yeah, that's
And then,
really
yeah,
cool.
writing children's books, like I found if I was really stuck on my novel, which takes a lot of time, I was like, I would go and do songwriting or do something new.
Nice. So different
Mm-hmm.
avenues, different segments.
Yeah.
Really cool. That's great. And so have you always been drawn to storytelling or writing, music, or just both? Just anything?
I would say definitely the storytelling with writing and coming up. I always have new ideas coming up in my head
Yeah.
all the time. And yeah, growing up, I always had a very vivid imagination. I'm like very like sensitive. I have a lot of intuition to things. So it naturally fell into place. And then having grandparents who love to tell stories kind of translated. And yeah, and the singing I did a singing lesson when I was 11,
Yeah.
but I was way too shy to continue. So I kind of dropped off of that. But my husband's a musician. So we go to friend's cottage, we sing around the fire. And then that is something that, like, because of Evergreen Peaks and because of my husband's musical abilities, we just had a lot of fun with it.
That's amazing. Well, speaking of storytelling, your novel has such a unique world behind it. So let's talk a little bit about your latest novel.
Yeah.
So Evergreen Peaks it's a horror novel, right?
Yeah, it's a horror drama
Beautiful.
novel, and it's very Canadian centric. So I have a lot of niche things that Canadians could relate to, like Canadian geese as the enemy, or just shout outs to Canadian artists, faces, musicians.
Very Canadian based.
Yeah, I find a lot of our mainstream is based in the US.
For
just
sure.
like TV, whatever, whatever it is. So I thought it'd be really nice to make it more central, and it's actually specific to Ontario.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and so it's a horror drama novel about a haunted forest in northern Ontario.
Okay.
And it's like more like I always say with horror, it's a really interesting genre because you have all the imagination.
Yeah.
That basically anything happened. It's infinite possibilities. And the drama component is like, why is the house haunted? Like, there's always some type of element of storytelling.
Yes.
So this novel really is about the place, but it follows different generations that have gone there in the past. And the current generation is a 20-something-year-old woman who does a tree planting program with a bunch of other like misfits, and they get stuck there. And it kind of goes back into the past to like unravel what is behind the story.
Oh, that's lovely. So what first like inspired this story specifically? Was it the fact that you haven't seen a lot of like specific Canadian I guess like there is Canadian based stories for sure, but I mean you're right, in the mainstream we do see a lot based off in the US or things like that. So is that what inspired this story, or was it just and the horror aspect of it, like that misty, like the mystic forest and all of that? Like what was there anything in particular that was like this is what's inspired it? Or
yeah, so funny enough, the idea came to me with the IKEA painting I got, or a portrait. It was a black and white canvas of a rowboat, and it was empty.
Okay.
And I had an idea of like it'd be really fun to write a story about up north, like there's the forest in the background, but my thing was what's happening, like what were the people's day that were in that rowboat. And then I knew horror for me as more like the drama component to it. I don't like anything that's like too gruesome in that genre.
Me either.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm gonna read this. I'll read it then, because I was like, oh, horror's like, but I'm intrigued for sure.
There's a lot of complexities of the human, like if you think of a character arc, like in horror, they go through the most extreme situations. So I don't like the like gruesome aspects of it, but the fact that anything can happen. So it's like a very supernatural type of book. And I feel like growing up spiritually, like on my Trinidadian side, like ghosts were like a thing that people talked about a lot. Like it's a very spiritual, my grandparents would have all these stories. So I think for me, it's like not all ghosts are inherently bad.
Correct.
And so there is like some things in this book that reflects like horror. Like, yes, there's a lot of tragedy, but I wanted to basically weave it all together to tell the story. And so I think I knew it was horror, drama, But the Canadian aspect, I went to the Sam Roberts band
Yes.
that show, and I loved when he was talking to the audience about just like the traffic on the 401 or just like things that Canadians
Can connect to.
And I really would love to bring that element because Canada is it's a great place, and we have so many talent here. There's so much talent, so many like wonderful places, experiences, and I just wanted to bring that in, make it unique.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Can you tell us a bit about the story and the characters in the world that you created? I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, obviously, but just kind of, I guess, like a little background about it.
Yeah, of course. I guess I'll start with the main character, Savannah Rose, who's in her 20s, and she is a very kind of misunderstood, angry individual because a year ago her best friend went missing.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like leads to her downfall of like ending up in Evergreen Peaks, like trying to leave the town. Because in Blue Moon River, there's like a serial killer on the loose, and they don't know if it's like related to her best friend's disappearance. So she's just angry, but she's also extremely compassionate, cares about the environment, stubborn, and so she was the most difficult character for me to write. So there's a lot of like different, as I had mentioned, like almost generations that go, and they all do connect. Like everything I put in here is very intentional.
Yes.
But with going into the other chapters, the side stories were almost like short stories that were easier for me to write, and those characters came easier for me, and hers was the most difficult. So I ended up actually writing the past generations before like the main one.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found it like, okay, how do I fit her into it? Because a lot with writing is not like necessarily what is said. It's kind of the dialogue between the characters. That's how you really get to know the characters.
Yeah.
And so there's like probably like 33 characters in this book, and main characters in like each past thing. So I had to be very intentional and like deliberate with how I introduce them, or like what interactions, and take out any of the fluff that didn't add to their character.
Right.
So I would say Savannah is like the main character, but she's also probably the most complicated character. The other ones, I would take elements of people who are very, sweet, maybe unpredictable, a little free spirit, like whimsical. The villains, I would just take. I tried to give them, even like villains, like a bit of a storyline as well. Of
course, everybody loves the villain arc.
What turned them to the way. So this book is very much based on the emotions of people.
So you explore in this book, relationships of loss and growth in even, this scary supernatural world. What do you hope readers will take from the book after they've read it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that each place has a story to tell, and that it's not always what it seems at surface level, and that even when we go through our hard times, you have to keep pushing through it. I think it's a story of like resilience, the human spirit. But to take it away, I would say that each relationship we have, each person is so sacred, and we really work better together. And I would say it's a story of like the human strength, and you have to keep going through the hard times.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, that's great. If Evergreen Peaks became a film or a TV series, who would you imagine playing Savannah or other key characters? Like, do you have a dream cast if this was ever adapted into a film or series?
That's such a good question.
I know. It's great. It's like, and it would be cool. And that seems to be happening. You see all of these wonderful stories becoming films or series. And so
when I started it, it took me like 2 years to write. It's been out for a while. I always really liked Evan Peters.
Oh yeah,
and but now I'm not sure, because I could picture him as one of the characters, but I think the character, just because of when I started it, like it might be out of the age range a little bit.
Got it.
But I felt like I just love his energy, but I couldn't really think of who I would cast as the female characters.
Yeah, it's tough, right?
Too much. And I did picture, like I knew what they all looked like, and I actually went on to AI, and I described, and I didn't even describe it like that well,
Just like
like general, and all the characters that I imagined, like it translated so well. So I actually have like a character map when I do a book talk or something like that. I'll maybe have them in the background.
Oh, that's
so
really
I have an
cool.
idea of like what they would look like. But funny enough, with the film, I'm actually writing right now a pilot script.
That's amazing.
Of Evergreen Peaks, and it's been hard because I don't know it too well. Like it's something I've never done.
It's different than writing the story, but that's really cool.
So I want to pitch it to different. There's like agencies that can make books into movies or films, but I picture it more as a TV show, more rather than a film, because it's like just so many layers to it. But I have like certain people I like want to reach out to in mind, and I'm excited to see. Yeah, who knows what will happen.
I'm really glad I asked that question because you're like kind of got the ball rolling a little bit with that. Well, that's really exciting, and we can't wait to see if if it blooms into something. That's awesome.
I have hope it will. I'm like, maybe it's not going to be in the near future. Maybe it's years down, but I do believe in the story, and I believe in the characters. So I'm like, I'm going to keep pushing it. Like as long as it takes, I'm like, okay, I will.
That's lovely. Oh, yay. That's so exciting. Something I think that makes your work so magical as well is that you didn't just write this novel. You also wrote an album that goes with the novel. So let's talk a little bit about that. How did the idea to create an EP, for Evergreen Peaks come about? Like, was it always a part of your vision? Did it come after writing, during writing?
So it was around Christmas break, and both my husband and I were off from work, and I said to him, I'm really stuck on Evergreen Peaks. Like, would you want to write a song with me and just see how it goes? And we're like, yeah, this would be a fun activity. And he's a mastermind with he's a great musician. And he can put lyrics together. So I had an idea of for example, chapter 1, a shapeshifter. So I knew what the premise is. I know the character's emotions. So I basically got parts of that novel and I wrote almost like a poem to it, handed it to my husband. I'm like, this is what I had in mind as the vibe of the song. And he worked his magic. And together we actually wrote 3 songs in the 3 days. It just kind of fell into place. And then he was working on his music. And so kind of when he would do his shows, he'd be like, oh, do you want to come sing, and do these songs? But we finished our album before I finished the book because it was just, the book took a long time. But it's an interesting, with the novel. So Shapeshifter would be the first one. And then at the very end of the chapter, I have QR codes that will take you straight to the song.
So then what song goes with what part of the book.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's only so amazing.
5 songs. Okay. But yeah, it really does enhance the story.
Absolutely.
And doing book talks, we can, if it's my husband's free, and we can do a acoustic set.
Oh, so that's really cool.
I like to expand, it just expanded the universe so much more.
It really did, yeah.
And that writer's block that I felt, it kind of inspired the new energy. And even if I was stuck, I would sometimes listen to our music and I'd be like, okay, it brings me right back into who that character is.
Yeah, it's a very cool, and I haven't, I'm sure it's been done before, but I haven't personally read or known of a book that has that and directly embedded into.
Yeah.
I've seen it maybe in children's books, the ones that are made, they have a song within it, but not really an adult book. And I think it's just like I said, that multi-level artistry with your book, and it really does create more of this universe for it as well. So that's really cool. So so I was gonna say, you co-wrote the EP with Calm Canopy, which is also your husband, right? So what was that creative collaboration like? You said it came so naturally to you, so working with him. So, and you kind of touched on that. You said the writing process for that seemed a bit easier than the novel.
Yeah, just because I felt like I knew the characters so well, and I knew what type of the energy of the song I wanted. But with it was actually, it felt very magical. When we were going together, we were in the the flow state. And in the song Shapeshifter, there's a lyric, the black wolf howls, and our dog was sitting there and listening, and we're recording in our basement, and we're like, oh, he howls sometimes. It'd be funny to get him to howl. and he howled right in tune of the song, and we actually put him in the song. And it was just like there was
Cameo.
something like it was a very surreal experience. So now that's our tradition. Like every Christmas break now, we are doing some music, like
Beautiful.
if it's a single or
that's
we're
lovely.
working together. And I felt like the first 3 songs came a lot easier. The next year, it felt a little bit more like we were stuck on what we wanted and the energy of it. But I wasn't expecting to do this album and to release it before.
It was really just a very unexpected creation, which is lovely.
And I almost wasn't prepared for it, because in my mind I'm like, oh, this novel will be done, and now all of a sudden I'm making a Spotify page. I'm like, and so Sylvia Lily is my pen name, but I felt in that moment like, oh, I don't know if I'm like ready, like maybe I should put a different hat on. And so I made the pen name, and it was a strange experience of, oh, here's like my Spotify now, here's like a the YouTube, and
it's you have an entirely new person. Your pen name is somebody, right? And that is probably really cool. I'm sure for a lot of artists, like you wear, it's not even a hat, it's a whole new person, right?
And it's just, it seems a bit more premature than I was expecting. So it helped definitely having my husband know the ropes. But even just like going on stage, like I'm with other musicians, his bands, they're all wonderful, talented musicians, but I've never gone up and sang before.
It's a new experience.
So I had to kind of deal with like a lot of those firsts, and like even just like the first time I was called up on the stage, I was doing their merch table and lost my voice, and I do a lot of head voice. And so my voice was fragile, and I was already coughing. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make this. So I ended up chewing gum. I heard my brother said that like that will help. And I went up, but I remember like as soon as my name was called up, I was like, I think I might pass out. Like it was like for a moment.
It's a lot, especially because I feel like when you're as an author, it all comes out in the book. So even if you're doing a book talk, like your book kind of speaks for you. You get to just kind of explain that. Although that could probably be, you're still in front of a lot, people. But performing, it's like it's happening in that moment. So I understand that.
And any advice to performers, or if you have a presentation, the first 30 seconds are probably the worst, because you feel your heart going. But after those 30 seconds, like you've made it and you're gonna do great. Like it's like the adrenaline's come in and you're not like as shaky. So I always say that to people, like, yes, it's nerve-wracking, public speaking scary, but the once you get through those first 30 seconds, it's gonna go great.
The worst part is getting onto stage. It's everything before, and probably the first 30 seconds to a minute that you're on, and then you're like, I'm here. I'm already doing it. But great advice. So it's clear that creativity is just such a big part of your life. It seems to be kind of woven in the everyday. You now have a beautiful Christmas tradition that you started because of Evergreen Peaks with your husband. So from the novel to the EP and everything in between, I kind of just want to touch more on your creative process a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to hear more about your approach to creativity in general.
And actually, while doing all of these like book talks and meeting people along the way, I've met so many wonderful people after who come up to me and they're like, oh, I want to write a book one day. I'm like, you should. You should. And actually, through doing a lot of these presentations, I've actually become an advocate for creativity.
Wonderful.
And that's my favorite part about doing any type of interview or presentation, is trying to tell people like, you have creativity within yourself, and you should do it. You should go for it. And so I like to advocate for other people's creativity, because my creative process was, I just decided like, I'm going to write a book. And it's a kind of a mix of being proactive. It was a huge mindset shift. And I think a lot of people are so quick to say, I'm not going to do it. Or even myself, like, I can't write this book. Who am I kidding? It's like training for a marathon. Like it takes so much work. But when we get rid of all those reasons not to do something and we just go for it, we can really surprise ourselves. And there is a lot of discomfort with it.
100%.
That comes with it. Like anything, when you start
something. Everybody has an idea. It's putting that idea into fruition. That is like, if you can do that, even if you fail, like that is amazing to just do that.
And I think for me, it's like I had started so many novel ideas and never finished. So I said to myself, I think it was like February of 2022 or something. I'm
Yeah.
like, I am going to write a novel and I'm going to finish this novel. And it was for myself at first. Like, I was like, I don't even know if I'll
Sure.
release this. I just want to like go finish it. And so I actually started waking up at 5 a.m. every day before work, because if I had work, I knew like by the evening I'd be like mentally drained. And
Sure.
I changed a lot of like no late nights, like on weekends. Like I was very selective with my plans. I didn't like isolate myself and say
Yeah.
no to like hanging out with friends, but
No, but
just in the daytime, and it became almost like a ritual where every morning I felt the happiest when I wrote for that hour. I made a
oh,
playlist. I have 4 pets, and I was like, okay, no, I will deal like,
with you later.
you can sleep in like till 6 and I
Yeah.
will like look after you and feed you then. But they were all, the animals were actually really like good with it too.
Yeah.
They weren't like,
So you
they just fall
created
asleep.
more of a structured routine
Yes.
in order, and that mostly because of your life. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
had to be able to do the things that you needed to do, but
Mm-hmm.
needed to fit in the creativity aspect. So
Yeah, it was
that's really cool.
time management for sure.
Yes,
Like we're all busy. We all have different like circumstances in our life,
absolutely.
but if you have an idea and you got to do it, you got to make time for it. And it was a really annoying idea. Like it was like a mosquito in my
Just
ear.
kept
Like
itching.
you got to do it, and I'd be out with friends like you should be writing. Like it felt like I had homework for almost like 2 years of like, oh yeah, this is nice, but like I should also be writing. So
Yeah.
I stayed like very, that was like first just like showing up for it. Like if you're putting your running shoes on, you're like, okay,
Yes.
you're ready. I also felt like a lot of growth. I read a lot of self-help books, a lot of mindset, and I realized that once the writing came natural, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, procrastination, all of those things are what a lot of people face.
Yeah.
And to get through it, I found like reading a lot of books. Like there's Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she was at Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh,
She's the
lovely.
author of that, and she talked about what does creativity mean to you,
Mm-hmm.
and it really changed and opened up my eyes to it. And I ended up realizing like I love creativity for creativity. She's saying don't try to like, quit your job and just like write this like, man, she's
Right.
like, let's try to fit it into your life. What does it mean? What are your values? What And so I had to remind myself like, okay, why are you writing this? So it started off as like just the commitment of like, if I can finish it,
Yes.
great. Then it turned into I love the characters and I want to finish the story for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found myself getting stuck on things, I would actually like do like field trips. So I had a notebook and like would write all these like senses or different
Oh, wow.
things. And I made my husband go camping with me in like Lake Superior Provincial Park.
Yes.
And it was at the time of the summer solstice, which is when my novel takes place. So I was recording,
Oh,
studying all the like animals, the ecology there, what's the
yes.
temperature like. So that was like,
Immersing yourself in the universe
yeah.
that you've created. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big part. And then like remembering what the values are. And then the vulnerability is when you release the book
Yes.
and you're like, how is the world going to receive it? And again, I read like Brene Brown's book,
But like
and
something that you've worked
yes.
so hard and that you love. And now
Mhm.
you're kind of releasing it into the world to see if everybody else feels the same way. And, not everybody
Nope.
will feel the same way,
No,
but will enough people feel the same way? It is such a vulnerable act to be
it
creative
is.
in that aspect and release something, right?
And
So,
it's scary. Like it's definitely a scary feeling to do it. But I, again, like reading like that book, Big Magic, like what is creativity
yeah.
to you? And she talks about that a lot, like
Yeah.
how, and it's so subjective. Creativity is so subjective.
Yep.
So she's like, it's okay if like, you put all your best to it, and
Mm-hmm.
then like that's good enough. And like, and to remember that, it's like, yeah, there might not be people who like it, but there might be people who love it. And
Yeah.
so that was like something where it was very scary, but I planned a book launch and I invited all my friends and family, and we were going to get the
Love
band
it.
all together. And I was like, I'm doing this. So I like wrote the book, and I decided not to sit on it for a year. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not going to get any better if perfectionism is also a procrastination. So
Sure.
I did it, and I did hire an editor, which for anyone writing a novel is a really great thing
Of
to do.
course. Yes.
And I sent the idea before it was all edited great to a developmental editor, which is someone who like explores the characters, who explores the storyline more.
They kind of look into it more than just like a blank read. Yeah.
And before I was like, I invested in like getting the editor for the grammar and all of those things.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like, is this idea like good? Is there something like I can work on to make it strong? And I read her reviews. It was on Fiverr, and she's like very brutally honest.
Good.
And
sometimes
I was like,
you need
yeah.
that.
So I was like, I need the constructive feedback.
Yeah.
Like, not like she's not. I mean, she gave constructive feedback,
sure.
but she doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous to get that back, and she's like, I really like it, and it was such a nice. Like, she had some pointers, but I was like, this is such a nice feeling.
It's also, it's a nod to you, and it's reinforcing the fact that like you did create something great, right? And sometimes it really is nice to hear that from somebody else that's not, you know, your husband or your family, like someone that doesn't show bias, for sure, because then you're like, okay, I did create something wonderful. And yes, you can create things for yourself, but to hear it from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, your creativity shows up in many different forms, including our younger readers. So you have written 2 children's books, Kindness Follows and I Live in Your Heart. What inspired each of these stories?
Yeah, so the I Live in Your Heart is kind of a tougher read because it's about life and...
I know. Let's talk about that one first, since you've mentioned it, so that our audience knows what it's about.
So I am an animal lover. I have 4 pets and 2 dogs, 2 cats, and my whole life I've always had such wonderful feline canine friends, and it's really tough to lose them. They are a part of the family, and I had come across a girl who lives on my street. She must have been like 7 or 8. And she was petting my dogs, and then she told me her dog had passed, and she was really sad.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm like, that's a really difficult. Nobody wants to think about it, but it's hard for kids to understand when they lose their pet, because it's also their family member, their friend. So I wrote a book on it, and it's basically just a reminder to children that I live in your heart, and that when, you know, that time comes, it's like, I'm still here with you, and I get emotional.
I can't. I have what I like to call my soul dog, because it's my first dog. Aww. And he's 5, and I love him, and I can't even think. I can't even think about talking about him not being here. I'm like, he in my head, he will be here forever. I am also like I pets, animals, like. Special place in our hearts, but I think that story is needed.
It is.
I mean, my one son is only 1, but my other son's 4, and it's like he's only known his entire life with this dog, and you know, it's just to have a story like that where it kind of explains it without you having to really explain it, and it's in such a beautiful way, and such a beautiful sentiment. It's we'll put a link to the books for sure, or your website anyway, so you can check this out. But it really is, it's just, I saw that and I was like, oh well, that is perfect.
And it's difficult for parents to explain that, and I mean, I do hope it helps like some kids that are going through that, but it's just that reminder of like things are different, but I'm still here, and just that impact, like that love that animal had given the kid, it doesn't go away.
No,
it lives with us.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. And then your other story, Kindness Follows, where obviously the main theme in that story is kindness. Why did you feel that was like an important theme for our younger readers?
I think our actions, as we say, our actions speak very loud, and sometimes, you know, we do things like as adults or kids, or we do things and we don't always think about like what are the repercussions to it. And so the theme of the book is basically that Ducky has a very unlucky day, and it's kind of in a rhyming style. And he just like gets splashed by the bus, and he's in a bad mood, and then that just like translates to all his friends, and then they progressively, like, because he was rude, it kind of goes into this ripple effect, but then there's one act of kindness that like turns it all the way back around. Beautiful. And it's not to say to kids like, if you're feeling a certain way, like you shouldn't, you know, you should be true to that and acknowledge how you feel, but just sometimes like how kindness really can get us through things.
You can have a really bad day, and one thing could really turn it around. It's, you know, Yes.
And you
Oh,
don't know
that's
what
nice
someone
sentiment.
else is going through, and
No.
that just like it's yeah, so it's just that reminder. And I mean, all the animals are really cute in there
Yes,
too.
of course.
Ducky's very cute.
Yeah, I like it, Ducky. Are there any more stories that you are planning on coming out, or are we just focused on here? Anything upcoming, or are you more focused on, kind of sitting with your universe and just creating from there, or are you like maybe down the line?
I did leave it open for a sequel, and
Okay.
some people have asked me like, "Are you going to do a
Mm-hmm.
sequel?" But I think if I do that direction, it's going to be 5 years from now, and the
Sure.
characters will be older,
I like that.
just to kind of see. There's a lot more I can talk about what they've been up to in their life,
Sure.
and so for in terms of Evergreen Peaks, I think my next goal is to get it into film, and that's like what I mean, that in itself is a beast because I don't
Sure.
understand the whole
Yes.
scripts and everything,
Yes.
but yeah, I'd say like musically, like the latest thing I had done. So I did a song called Yukon Lost, which was a single, so not a part of Evergreen Peaks.
Right.
And that was a really interesting experience because it's the true story of my dad was adopted, and we didn't know like where he's indigenous, but we didn't know like where. We're like thinking, oh, maybe it was like Six Nations we're from, and then we got a letter from the government when we inquired, and they said, "Oh no, you're part of the Vuntut-Gwitchin First Nation, which is like the most northern part of the Yukon."
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
so that was us probably in 2016, and so we flew into Old Crow, which is like a remote flying, and that's where most of the Vuntut-Gwitchin
Oh,
live.
okay. Very
And it was
cool.
summer, so 24-hour
Sun.
sun in
Yes.
July, and there's like 300 people. There's like one grocery store, but there's no like restaurants. It's a very tight knit community, and we went there not knowing like we didn't know who at that time his mom was
Mm-hmm.
because it was just like a close adoption. So we went there in this strange experience, and the elders like helped try to connect us to like who. They had family trees coming. Like, okay, who are you related to? Like, such
Yeah.
wonderful people who were trying to even like go through residential
Yeah.
school letters to say like maybe like this is the connection. Like, let's look at the archives. And it was probably until 5 years later that they made the connection, and we actually have reconnected with our
Wow.
family. And so the song is Yukon Lost, and it's actually about the first initial 2016 trip
Beautiful.
where we were so nervous, like, is this community gonna accept us? Like,
Right.
what's it gonna be like? Are we gonna find answers? And then going there, it felt very strange, but it was also about finding also feeling like it was home. Like, I love
Mm-hmm.
Yukon, it's so beautiful. And so it was a very strange experience. And so that song Yukon Lost is like, where do I belong? And so that opportunity actually led to the I did an interview with Mohawk College, which was really
Oh,
interesting about that experience.
yes.
And so that was a really fun project. And then going forward, I think I'm going to switch gears and kind of do a YouTube channel on environment and animals,
Oh,
and
okay.
just kind of how we can make little changes in our life to, and sharing like positive stories as well of like the
Yes.
human connection to
I
animals,
love
and
that.
just like uplifting. So that is like what I'm working on. And
Awesome. So
yeah,
lots of things in the works.
yeah,
Well, what a beautiful story. Thanks for sharing that
yeah,
with us.
yeah. Thanks.
We're going to kind of each episode we end with a kind of rapid
Yeah.
fire fun
Oh,
round.
okay, let's do it.
And there's, 'tis the season a bit. There's a few holiday questions in there
Oh, love
as
it.
well. So, first thing that comes to mind, sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's an this or that type thing. So, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird.
Yes, as we've discovered
Yeah.
through the creative process. Are you a pen and notebook or typing when writing?
Typing.
Yeah.
But I do like a pen and paper for ideas, just like
Yes.
randomly in the day. But I'm just too slow of a
Yeah.
handwriter.
I get
And my
that.
hand hurts.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you're writing a novel,
Yeah.
I feel like that makes sense. Yes. What would be your dream writing location?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably Washington State.
Oh, okay.
Just
Oh,
being
yes.
like in the
Beautiful.
kind of the forest, I'd say, by the ocean, or maybe BC. Like,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say that. But I also don't like, some people like the idea of like being in a remote forest. And like, I think I'm good. Like,
Yeah,
like around like civilization.
Maybe on the outskirts of.
Yeah, yeah. After reading writing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
It's like,
oh,
I wrote it and now I'm kind of like, no, it's okay. That's fair. No, fair. Hot cocoa or apple cider?
Hot cocoa.
Nice. With marshmallows, or are you just like?
No, probably no marshmallows.
No marshmallows.
Just plain. Probably.
Got it. Got it. A snowy morning or a festive night drive?
Snowy morning.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like driving.
No. There's something really calm too, especially when you're inside your home and you don't have to go anywhere in the snow. Of just like sitting by your window and just like watching the snowfall. Like it's so beautiful.
So peaceful.
Paperback, hardcover, or audiobook?
Paperback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a reason behind the paperback or just like a preference?
I like the physical book,
Yes.
but sometimes like doing notes in books if it's like a self-help book, or I like to like go back to it, and I feel like if it's an ebook or something, it's just I'm not going to be as likely.
It's fair. What's a comfort book that you always return to?
Ooh, a comfort book.
Like, is there one that you constantly reread?
Not really.
And that's okay if you don't.
But I would say I've really gotten to Mel Robbins.
Okay, yes.
And her book, The Let Them Theory, is phenomenal. And I have a feeling I will like reread that book. And the Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes.
Took me a little to get into it, but he is extremely intelligent. So I think those will be books I read like every year going forward.
Amazing. A soundtrack or artist you've been loving lately?
Ooh, Taylor Swift.
I mean, you were my second guest to say that, but it's great. I love her latest album.
Oh yeah, and like folklore.
I think for me. And she has so many, so
yeah,
it's hard to get sick of the tracks. You have so many albums to choose from.
She's a great storyteller.
She really is. She is. Favorite holiday tradition?
Ooh, favorite holiday tradition. Let's think about that one.
I know, sorry, I put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I'm like thinking of like what holiday?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas. It can be any type of holiday tradition.
Maybe we'll just do Christmas because it's like
easier coming up.
I'd say like with my husband, like we always have like Christmas, we'll have coffee in the morning, and it's just really calm before the storm, or like going out to see everyone. Yeah. It's always very like peaceful. We have all our pets with us.
That nice wake up on Christmas morning.
I would say so.
I love that. That's lovely. So before we wrap up, where can our listeners and viewers find you online or follow your work and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can connect with me on Instagram. Sylvia Lily Writer Singer is my address. You can get my novels if you're interested off of Amazon.
Perfect. They're
available there. And if you ever want to reach out and just like have questions about creativity, I love to talk to other creatives.
Yes. Yes. And we'll put links to Amazon, your website, and everything all in the YouTube description below. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was so lovely learning about, your creative journey and just kind of where Evergreen Peaks has kind of gone since you've wrote it and how it's continuing to evolve. We look forward to hopefully maybe seeing this adapted into a film or TV series. For everybody listening, be sure to check out Sylvia Lily and all her wonderful creations. She's always up for a chat too. If you are creative or thinking about writing or getting into songwriting, connect with her. And, thanks so much for sipping with us today. We will see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.